This is a huge controversy that's developing over the past 24 hours. A Silicon Valley startup is caught in the middle of a cyber war between ISIS and the hacking group known as Anonymous. The company's called Cloudflare. It's a startup that protects websites against denial of service. Those are attempts to bring websites down. But it does not discriminate with its clients. It has come out and said that. Anonymous is lashing out at Cloudflare for shielding pro-ISIS sites from the hacking group's attacks. Here now in a Fox Business exclusive is the man at the top of Cloudflare who maintains his company is doing nothing wrong. We welcome Matthew Prince.
Thanks for having me, Liz.
Thank you for being here. You're a brave man. A lot of people are furious right now with what they perceive to be the effort, or at least just doing basic business at your company protecting ISIS websites. Is that true?
You know, we take these allegations extremely seriously, whether they come from a kid in a Guy Fawkes mask or a customer or law enforcement. And so when we heard about this, we reached out to our friends in the law enforcement community to review the list of the alleged ISIS sites. And we're quite surprised not only to not have any orders to take any of the sites offline, but to see that actually a lot of the sites that Anonymous had identified actually weren't related to ISIS at all. Some were Chechen rebel sites, some were Kurdish sites, some were Palestinian sites. And I'm not a political scientist, but I don't know many organizations that are more anti-ISIS than the Kurds.
Okay, but I'm hearing some wiggle room here. You said almost all of them had nothing to do with it. They were just Arab speaking. Matthew, is there a possibility that at least one site that is paying your company or using the free parts of your company could be doing something, supporting ISIS, propaganda for ISIS?
We, again, reviewed this list with law enforcement organizations.
Who, the FBI?
The FBI is actually a Cloudflare customer, uses us to protect their own site. So does the State Department, so do a number of others. And we work with those law enforcement agencies and also law enforcement agencies around the world. And what they said specifically was, in most cases, they'd actually prefer, even if there was a controversial site or a terrorist-related site, for that to be on our network because they can then track what's going on. We're a law-abiding organization that will respond to a court order or another orders, whereas otherwise...
Can I ask you, why would you need a court order to do the right thing?
Well, I think that we don't need a court order to do the right thing. The right thing in this case is to work with legitimate law enforcement organizations and do what they actually ask us to do. What's important is Cloudflare is a network. The traffic passes through us. If we were to take these sites off of our network, then it doesn't make the content go away. All it does is it means that it's harder to actually monitor what's going on them.
Let me push you on this, because you have said in the past that there's a possibility that ISIS or ISIS-affiliated groups are using the free part of the free version of your services. Even that, how could you sleep at night if you knew that that was happening?
Because, again, we help legitimate law enforcement actually track down who the bad guys are.
Okay, so now, though, you get the other side upset. Oh, you're in cahoots. You're giving away privacy issues.
The key issue here is due process. There's a process that legitimate law enforcement organizations go through in order to actually get information. And we follow that and actually publish very clearly what it is as our policy when we are working with law enforcement organizations.
How do you get paid?
By large organizations. And what's important here...
Well, I'm talking the actual process. Credit cards, Do you take Bitcoin? Because that's anonymous.
We don't take Bitcoin.
You do not take Bitcoin.
We do not take Bitcoin. The vast majority of our revenue actually comes from very large organizations that pay us to help protect them against organizations like Anonymous. And what's been powerful about this is, as Anonymous is hacking sometimes these random sites, we're seeing what and learning from the attacks that they're actually conducting. And what that means is that for our large business customers, some of which are Fortune 50 companies, that we can better protect them when some random kids with Guy Fawkes masks decide that they're doing the wrong thing.
You're referencing random kids with Guy Fawkes masks.
That's right.
That's Anonymous. That's professional hacking group. Do you know who they are?
Well, again, I don't think they are necessarily one organization.
They're pretty good, Matthew, at what they do, and they're saying that at least some of your sites that are using your service have something to do with ISIS?
What they're really good at is knocking sites offline, except if they're behind Cloudflare. And so why they have a beef to pick with us is because we're really good at stopping denial of service attacks. And that's regardless of whether that's protecting, a national government, which we do, a Fortune 500 company. And so if you're concerned about your site potentially being targeted randomly by, again, people who are in some ways terrorists themselves wearing these masks.
This is certainly great PR that the preeminent hacking group says your site and what you do is impenetrable. Are you getting more business because of this in some weird way?
Yes, strangely, we had 2,700 people sign up for our service just yesterday.
Okay.
That's about 3 times normal.
Are you vetting them? Who are they? Can you see if they're related to ISIS?
When there is any concern, then we turn to the law enforcement community.
Has there been any concern?
Of course. When someone
So you've
comes
seen
up with
something weird.
Well, Anonymous published a list of 40 sites that they allege to be actually ISIS sites. We ran that by law enforcement organizations, and there was no request for them to take any of those sites off of our network. In fact, in some cases, they ask us specifically to keep those sites on our network.
My last question. If tomorrow an ISIS propaganda site wants to pay you a lot of money, can we come out to him, please? Thank you. Wants to pay you a lot of money to simply do what your business does, would you take them?
No, absolutely not. If there was someone who is coming to us to pay for our enterprise-grade services, we vet that much more carefully, and we would not accept any of that money from any terrorist organization.
Well, you still plan to go public in at least a year, correct?
Probably 18 to 36 months, yeah.
4 million customers, 70 data centers, growing. How many countries are you in?
We're in, I believe, 40 or 50 countries around the world. We add a new data center a week, and as our network gets bigger, it just gets better and better at being able to protect against all of these types of attacks.
Well, let's use the word protect to end this and say, please protect people against ISIS if it ever comes to your doorstep. Can you promise our viewers that?
Absolutely. If we receive we are a law-abiding organization, and if we receive legitimate requests from law enforcement organizations that follow process.
It has to be a request? You wouldn't do it on your own?
Again, I don't know whether it's I was surprised to learn that it was a Kurdish site, which was one of the sites that was there. If we knocked the Kurdish site off of our service, that would actually support ISIS more than anything else. We have to rely on the people who are experts in foreign policy, and that means the FBI, the State Department, and others.
Matthew Prince of Cloudflare, thank you for coming on. It's the only interview you're doing. We appreciate you coming to Fox
Absolutely.
Business to talk about this.
Thank you so much.
Please keep us posted.
Will do.